33 U.S. bishops met with the Pope this week for their 5-year report. EWTN Vatican Bureau's digital strategist Benjamin Crockett spoke today with Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone from San Francisco to share with us the advice the Holy Father gave.
Your Excellency, you met with the Holy Father. It has been reported for about 3 hours. I mean, that's
Yes.
the longest meeting that that has been reported on. What was the atmosphere like?
It was the longest meeting, but we're also the largest group of bishops. So the physical atmosphere was, the room was rather warm and stuffy, but it didn't slow down the Holy Father. He kept going strong, I think stronger than the rest of us. But again, he just opened it up for any bishop to speak, and he didn't cut anyone off. Everyone was able to speak who wanted to speak. He responded to every bishop who had something to say. It was some very profound spiritual reflections, and he has an understanding of the realities that we're dealing with in California. So we felt his support and his encouragement. And I've told people it sort of felt like a session of spiritual direction, actually. Wow. I thought, I wish I could have this man for my spiritual director.
And what was his message? What was his message to you?
He spoke about pastoral closeness and how the pastor has to be constantly in movement. So he had this image of the shepherd with the sheep needing to be in front, in the midst, and behind the sheep. So he has to be constantly in movement, right in front of the sheep to guide them to where they need to go, in the midst so that he can know the sheep, and behind to make sure nobody gets left behind or wanders off. So he has to be constantly in movement. So he offered reflections like this. He understands what we've been through with the crises of these last many years, and he thanked us for all we've done to address the issues of abuse and prevention, and he recognizes the progress we've made. He understands the suffering we've been through. So we felt very much his concern for us, his closeness to us, and his pastoral and lovingly fatherly support.
And speaking about how last year was a difficult year, how do you think this year will be different?
I feel it as a sense of re-energizing. Another part of this sort of side benefit of the Ad Limina visit is the bishops among ourselves. This also came out in our long meeting with the Holy Father. The bishops among ourselves have a greater sense of fraternity because we're here. We do kind of so-called business at the dicasteries, but there's a lot of time when we're together to socialize and then obviously to pray at the masses and so forth. So it helps to build up bonds at a deeper level. The Holy Father emphasized this to us as well. Many of us thanked him for the retreat he urged us to take last year. We all felt the benefit of that, and it refreshed our understanding of how important it is we take time to pray together and to be together to strengthen bonds of fraternity. I think this has been another reminder in that regard, so I hope and pray that this will have a lasting effect in how we work and live together as a conference of bishops.
And did you ask him a question?
One thing I asked was about the concern about our young people and the culture that they're in, the harm it's doing to them, and trying to help them to be healthy, especially when they sense a call to a religious vocation. Often there are a lot of issues that, from the context in which they grew up, they're not ready to pursue that yet. He's also spoke about movement there with ministry to the young and how challenging it is. We have to be constantly in movement because they're on the move a lot, and we have to be creative.
So speaking about young people, so you're the chairman of the Committee on the Laity, Marriage, Family Life, and Youth. In an era when social media and technology is influencing almost every aspect of family life, what do you think the church can add to social media, and what can it do, I guess, to enhance education for families?
Yes, well, we see initiatives taken already in terms of using social media for catechesis and for connecting people. And I see that this opens up many opportunities. It also opens up so many challenges, right? Because there's the abuse of it. But I think the church is, I think, beginning to understand better how to use social media to communicate. But I also emphasize that the social media cannot be a substitute for the interpersonal encounter.
Of course, yeah.
Because real evangelization happens when there's an interpersonal, physical encounter. So the social media is great for helping people to feel connected virtually, but it really has to lead to a personal encounter because God created us for communion. And communion happens when we're together physically to pray and to share fellowship.
Thank you so much, Archbishop Cordileone.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.